Hello and good morning, good afternoon and good evening, I believe it is for most of us that are joining from across the world today. And welcome along to our final session here in room 5 on the education and community track at Teams Fest. What an amazing day it's been, some great speakers, great knowledge shared. I for one have thoroughly enjoyed it, as I'm hopefully that all the attendees that are here today on this session as well have also thoroughly enjoyed their day. So this last session is what it means to be a Microsoft MVP on Microsoft Teams. So just before I do hand over, just a couple of housekeeping things around asking questions and such. So if you do have questions, then please do make use of the meeting chat to post your questions in there. If there's things that I can answer and the other moderators that are here today in this session, then we will do. But if there's questions for the presenters, then we will have some time for Q&A and we can read those out to the presenters there. But I don't want to take up too much time now, because this is our last session, and great to hand over now to our two presenters who's going to be talking to us now. So thank you all.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody. Laurie and I are so excited to be here and to help conclude this awesome community event. And thank you so much to the organizers for having us and for putting together such an awesome almost 24 hours. It's been so much fun to be a part of. So we'll just quickly introduce ourselves. So I'm Allie Wieczorek. I'm a product marketing manager at Microsoft on the modern work team, so focus on Microsoft 365, and I'm also the MVP lead for the Office Apps and Services category, which is where Microsoft Teams falls under. And you can find me on Twitter at AllieWiz13.
Thanks, Allie. Sorry for that delay on my end. My mute was delayed, so I'm going to blame it on that. So good to see so many familiar faces here and some new faces too. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Laurie Pottmeyer. I'm the community lead with Microsoft Teams. I sit within Teams Engineering, and my job is to bring all of our community members, whether those are MVPs, regional directors, passionate community members, and just regular everyday users, and connecting them with our engineering team to make sure that we're building a product that not only meets everybody's needs, but that we're not building a product in a box or in a tunnel or in a vacuum. So it's really important that we make those connections and that you're part of what we do, whether you're an MVP or not, and that we are listening to all of you and really keeping your needs in mind, but also arming you so that when you go out and you're working with your communities, you have what you need to be successful. So super excited to talk about this today. It's something that Allie and I obviously are very passionate about. This is a majority of what I do, working with MVPs, and it seems like it's just such a mystery, right, Allie? Are people always asking you?
Always. How do I become one? What is the process? So we're happy to demystify some of it for you guys. So what is an MVP? It's honestly really hard to put into words because every MVP is so different. But they're really, MVPs are really just these amazing humans who don't work for Microsoft and have super deep technical knowledge and expertise on our products and technologies. And then they really love to share their knowledge. So it's not just, oh my God, I love Teams, but it's sharing the latest announcements and how they use their feature, how they use the new features and different use cases for different industries and all of those types of things. And they're sharing these through blogs, through user groups, through podcasts and webcasts and books and in tech community forums and other places like that. So it's really awesome. There's a lot of ways to share. And then MVPs are also the people who are really always on the bleeding edge of our technologies and on the industry in general. And they just can't wait to get their hands on the latest things and participate in preview programs. And then, of course, they love to provide feedback directly to our product teams through user voice in the apps. Like they really just love to give their feedback and help really like change the product in the future. And then they're who we look to solve those real world problems. Like I said, those different use cases, different industries, best practices, from employee engagement to project management, information protection, across the board. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, it's that community spirit. These are leaders in our communities. They're advocates for diversity and inclusion. They're often mentoring younger people or people who are new to tech. And yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers it, but it can look different. What do you think, Laurie?
It is. It's different for everybody, and everybody always asks, how many blogs do I need to write, or what do I need to do, to be an MVP? And that's always such a hard question to answer. We really want to not put a number to what people are doing. So Allie gave some really good ideas of kind of what encompasses the MVP, and so what are some of those things that you need to do to be an MVP. And what it really boils down to is that you just need to be somebody that shares your passion with people. And once you get to the point where you're putting a number to things and starting to count what you're doing, those things, it takes away from really the intent of the MVP award, because it's so important for you to just do what you love and do a lot of it and share it with community. Y'all are smart people, and many of you know the product inside and out, whether that's Teams or another Microsoft product or service, right? And so sharing that information is really important, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And Allie talked about some of those things. It's, creating content, whether that's, how-to guides, or, what are the things that you see as gaps, so that we don't have, we may be missing a how-to guide or a documentation on something from Microsoft, but you being able to create that content is really helpful. And that's really something that, I have a list of kind of do's and don'ts, and we'll kind of talk through some of those, but really it's important that you do share net new content. A lot of times people try to write blogs, and what they end up doing is kind of regurgitating things that we've already talked about, we've already announced. And though it's great to be out there and sharing with the world what we've announced and the new things that are coming, or things that we may have talked about at Ignite, it's really important that you're taking that content and sharing real world examples, so that you're talking about things like, oh, we just announced, private channels. Granted that I realize this is a long time ago, but what are the ways that you're using that? What are the ways, and when we have breakout rooms, everybody knows we're gonna have breakout rooms. We announced it at Ignite. It's really exciting. You talking about that is wonderful, but what are those specific use cases? What are the ways in which you're using those features that are new or different, or a success story, something that you helped a customer with? Those are the things that we can't tell. We don't have those stories to tell. Microsoft can talk to you about the technology. We can share how it works, how it's supposed to work. We can give you the technical documentation, but you are the ones that are using it in real world examples, and you're using it out there in the wild. You have ways of doing things that are different from how anybody else does them. And so it's really useful when you can share those customer stories, share those real world examples, whether that's through a blog or a podcast or going out and speaking at a community event. Those are all really helpful ways. Another place is the Microsoft Tech Community. So a little plug here for Anna's on the call. Thanks for being here too, Anna, and helping us out with these questions. The Microsoft Tech Community is a place where I always go to first to see if a current MVP candidate has been contributing to the tech community, because the tech community for us is huge. We are the second largest tech community board on the tech community, the space, now called the hub. And so Microsoft Teams is right behind O365. We are very, very active, one of the most active communities, but we're that big and that active because of many of you. When you look at Fesa and Adam and Chris and, you know, everybody who's been planning this event, Chris Webb has never seen the tech community. Chris is, you know, that's where I learned about those guys. You know, one of the first triggers of understanding, you know, really their community contribution. I think the tech community is probably the ultimate contribution because they are answering questions and many times real time for people. And what's great about it is that we have MVPs and community people all around the world who are contributing to that, which means that no matter where you are in the world, if you ask a question, it's probably going to get an answer pretty soon. And so that's really something that is very important to us is, you know, being able to answer questions there, but also what we really love is when you can share your best practices and proactively talk about what you're doing in there, even if it's a challenge that you had, something that didn't go right, but here's how we fixed it, or here's how we got around that. Those are really helpful too, because again, those are things that we cannot tell, right? Those are your personal stories of things that that you're doing. So, you know, when I look at what not to do, it's not necessarily, you know, don't blog about new features. I mean, that's fine. But really when I drill down and when, you know, the other V team members drill down into the contributions that you're making, we're looking for things that are net new, the different things that you're doing that are, you know, above and beyond just talking about the features. It's really talking about use cases. You know, speaking engagements is another thing. Many of the community members who are speaking at Teams Fest today, you know, I see some familiar names, but it's always great to recognize new people. And then you start seeing them more and more. I think that some people have a hard time getting into speaking, and it's not for everybody. Trust me, I am probably one of the, you know, I was probably, didn't know it, but I was probably voted least likely to be a public speaker. And, you know, once you start doing it, I think for some people it can be very, very scary, but once you start doing it, it becomes just more natural. And let's face it, when you're passionate about a product or you're passionate about a topic, talking about it becomes just easy because it's something that you can talk about over dinner with somebody. So, you know, what's talking to a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, right? But I think one thing that people find difficult, not only just doing the speaking, but actually getting an opportunity to speak. And I hear that from people all the times is, well, I really want to, you know, I have this topic and I'm really passionate about it and I want to talk about it, but I can't seem to get a speaking opportunity. And so, you know, I would urge you, if you're one of those people that has tried or, you know, has maybe put your name in for a call for content to an event or something, start small. Just, you know, get your name out there in user groups, especially right now because we're all virtual. For the most part, it provides you even more of an opportunity to be able to talk to a user group because we are able to do it from wherever. And so if you're able to get on somebody's user group and you can proactively contact the user groups. So again, on the tech community, if you go to the community events, you'll be able to see a listing of all of those different events. And you can also list yourself as a speaker, so that if we are looking for a speaker in a specific area, we can drill into and filter by topic and filter by location or you know, different things in the tech community speakers and find people there. So if you're not already signed up as a speaker, you can go ahead and you know, offer yourself up, put a profile picture, let people know what you're available to speak about, locations, if you're willing to go places, especially as we start actually traveling. But user groups are good because it's usually a smaller group oftentimes, and it's just an easier opportunity for you to kind of test your content and ask for feedback. And then you can have recordings in many cases, and then you can share those with people who are looking for speakers the next time you put a call for content, so they can hear you and see you and, understand your content a little bit more than just your session description. So that's something to think about. The other thing is, if those of you on this call who speak regularly and attend events regularly, open up the opportunity to somebody to co-present with you. I think that's always such good advice for people, because a lot of times we see the same names and we hear from the same people. And though it's really fun and exciting to see those people, and we know that they're super passionate and super smart, having a second presenter, just, Allie and myself today, we can both lend different perspectives. And so if you're somebody that presents a lot, bring somebody that doesn't present as much with you. Give them an opportunity, even if it's to help with Q&A at the end, or maybe they're presenting a slide. But bring somebody new with you, and whether that's somebody or somebody that you meet through the community that's just interested in the opportunity. And then if you're looking for opportunities, don't be afraid to go to somebody and ask, whether that's somebody that leads a user group, or if you're going to a current MVP. I think this community is so open and willing to help each other out, and we all learn from each other, whether it's something big or something small. I'm always worried that whatever I'm presenting, everybody always knows, they've already heard it, they already know everything that I'm going to be talking about. But every single time somebody will say, "Thank you so much, I learned this," or "This was really useful." So I think we kind of get in our own heads sometimes. We all have something to share, and so it's important to have that opportunity. So whatever it takes. I don't know, have I missed anything here, Allie? I know I've been talking for a long time, but anything to add on this?
I think you're covering really important things. Like, it's everyone there's somewhere to start, right? Whether you're just starting on Twitter or Microsoft Tech Community and seeing what current MVPs are doing, and because if they've been awarded, that they did what it takes to get there, and just modeling after what they're doing, but then also bringing your own spin to it. And like Laurie said, this community, especially on the Teams and Office Apps and Services side, they're so open and wonderful. And I've seen so many people take on roles as mentors and just really help people through the process to make sure that once you get nominated, that you're going to make it through. And I think, it's just an awesome community, and don't hesitate to jump in.
We have a link here, and we're going to share these slides, but if you go to mvp.microsoft.com, which is the website where it has everything that you've ever wanted to know about the MVP program, and it gives really good examples of some of these things listed on this slide that people have done to contribute to their communities and get the award. I would think that what I did mention, it's not about the numbers. And so I can't tell you on average, MVPs write this many blogs or that many blogs, or they speak at this many events, or they answer this many questions. It's just the big picture. Yeah. So as you think through, what do I need to do? Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep getting your name out there. Just keep being passionate and sharing information that you have. And Allie will talk through the process, which is kind of the mystery piece that nobody ever seems to know what happens. It's really not a secret.
It's not. It's not like some dark black box that no one knows about. It's really simple. To be nominated, you have to be nominated by either a current MVP or a current Microsoft employee. So just jumping into the community is really the best way to get noticed and meet people. And we're always looking for people who are doing new and unique things. So it's not hard to get found. And then, once you get nominated, that's where you submit. So once you get nominated, you'll get emailed an application to fill out, and that's where you put in all the things you've done to share your knowledge and evangelize our technology. So you'd send links to things you've written or sessions you've delivered or posts you've posted on tech community, and then it's also really important to include that impact and that reach. So things like impressions and views, that always helps. And then, yeah, the first step is getting reviewed by the CPM team. So those are the community program managers who are based regionally. I want to say we have 14, but that number might be wrong, around the world. And so they're each responsible for a different region. They're always on the lookout for people too. They're often the ones who nominate you. And they'll review you first and say like, yes, this person meets the bar for MVP in general or based on our region and what we're looking for. And at that point, that's when it'll come to people like Laurie and myself, where then we look at all the things you've done and make sure that, you know, the technical expertise is on par, and the product team. So engineers and marketers both are looking like, are they on message? And then also, is there technical expertise there? And again, like Laurie said, it's, to me, at least for me personally, I think for her as well, like we're looking a lot more for that quality and that reach than we are for like, oh, I wrote 100 blogs. But if no one's reading them and all you're doing is regurgitating our product blogs or announcements from Ignite, like that's not exactly the same thing as, you know, even if you just had 10 awesome helpful blogs that are from a different industry or a different use case, or you're using things differently than what we're seeing from everyone else, that's a lot more meaningful. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's the V team. It's engineers and marketers and field and whoever else. And then hopefully we all agree and we approve. And then you get that awesome email that's like, congratulations, you've been awarded. And that's my favorite part, because after you get the email from the MVP team, I get to send you an email where you get to order your awesome swag package.
Everybody loves the swag. Yeah, and from teams, you know, what we do is when we know that we have a new MVP on who has been awarded, who contributes to Microsoft Teams, because keep in mind, Teams is part of Office Apps and Services. So we're just a small piece of a bigger award category. And so as I go through and I look at the MVP nominations, a lot of times there's people that don't contribute to Teams at all. They're focused on other products, which is completely fine. You know, selfishly for me, I'm looking at the people that are contributing to Teams, and there's other people like me in other product teams that are doing the same thing. And so I'll be looking at, you know, the breadth of what people are doing. And if somebody doesn't meet, you know, my personal bar, then I share those comments with the CPMs, because those are the people who are ultimately getting out a phone call, I'm so sorry, that are ultimately going to communicate with you and share and kind of coach on what the things are that we need to be focused on. So if there's, you know, like, oh, I'd really like to see more focus on speaking, or more focus on net new content, or, you know, there's a lot of blogs there, but it doesn't seem like they're having views. Let's try to, you know, focus on getting more visibility to those so that they're really reaching the community, because like Allie said, it's not about quantity as much as it is quality, and making sure that community is getting back from what you're putting out there. There's a lot of guest blogging opportunities. I know Shauna just put up the one for Humans of IT. Microsoft Teams also has a guest blog for people, whether they're MVPs or not, to be able to participate in. And so we'll give you that link as well. That's a really good way for you to contribute as well on the Microsoft Tech community as a guest blogger on behalf of Microsoft Teams. So yeah, thanks for running through that. Hopefully that piece is demystified for you. You know, I wanted to bring up this slide. I stole this from Tracy, one of our MVPs, over a year ago. And, you know, as we talk through kind of what does it take to be an MVP, this is a really good visual. It's all about taking the things that you're passionate about, whether you love them, you're good at them, you know, the community needs this, what you can be paid for. Maybe, you know, in your job, you're presenting on these things and you're sharing this information, you're helping your own organization, or you're a consultant helping other organizations. But what can you then do for your community to further share your knowledge? And really, it's just the love of what you do and the passion that you have for it, and kind of figuring out what are all those pieces that you're going to pull from to create something that you love and something that you share with community. And that's, I think this encompasses what the MVP award is really taking your knowledge and doing something good with it. So as we wrap here, and I think we'll be able to open it up for questions too, is I wanted to share some of the resources. We told you about the MVP program, and I know Allie put the link in the chat too, so you can check that out for kind of the detailed reference. But I wanted to share some of the specific Teams resources for you, as well as things that can help you kind of get integrated with our community more, and start working on being an MVP if that's something that you are interested in. The tech community, like I said, we have so many MVPs and passionate community members that are in there helping people, and that's an excellent way. Be sure you join the tech community, and then you can sign up in there, not only as a member of the Teams hub, but also you can set up your notifications. And setting up your notifications allows you to be notified when there are topics of interest. So you can, when somebody asks a question in the community, they can tag their question with a topic. And those tags, you can choose to follow those, be notified of those. So if there's something that you're specifically interested in helping people with, you can set it to be notified. You can also go through every day and filter through and scroll and look and see what you want to answer, but notifications makes it really easy to just answer questions on the spot that are related to what you want to talk about. And then, like I said, share your experiences there. And if you want to be a guest blogger, the link is there. We would love to feature you. We try to do one about every week. So, and if we have a huge demand for additional guest bloggers, we'd love to include more of you. So no reason why you can't be in there. Again, we're looking for things where you're not only talking about the feature and how it works, because we already have documentation on all of that, but what we really want to hear about is how are you using it in new and different ways, and customer stories, success stories, again, challenges are okay. That helps other people. And then, certainly if there's a detailed technical, if you want to get real deep technically and share, at a deep technical level, that's always appreciated by people as well. So feel free to be a guest blogger there. We love it. Feedback. So product feedback is super important to the Teams team. And there's a few ways of doing that. The product feedback that we collect through user voice is the link that's on this slide, aka Teams feedback. We look at user voice all the time, but sometimes there's things that you need to be able to share that are not specific to a feature. It may be closing the gap on a scenario. Feel free to type that up and send it my way. I'm happy to share that. If you are in the community tenant, if you have a community group or a user group in the community tenant, you can share with me through Teams there. But if you already are connected in the Microsoft tenant, feel free to shoot it to me there, email it to me, whatever you want to do. But I'm happy to share that with the product team. We do use that. They do look at it. If you follow me on Twitter, you may see me every once in a while respond to people asking them for meetings with our product group. A lot of times when somebody's complaining about something, hey, that's valuable information because that's how we improve. And so when I hear those people on Twitter, other places, complaining about something or needing something, and we can have a conversation, then I'll make those conversations happen. But feel free to reach out when you have things like that. It's very valuable. If you have a user group or a community event such as this, like Teams Fest today, but even a small user group, and that's something that you're interested in starting up virtually in your region, I'm happy to put you on the Microsoft Community Tenant. I put the sign up there. We have not announced that necessarily publicly yet, but I did want to make it available for those of you on this call, especially because you're passionate about teams, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So I would love to give you a spot there in the community tenant and set you up with a team. That's a new offering that we have for user groups and community events who are doing events and user groups around Microsoft products and services. So the sign up is there, and we'll be kicking off an expanded pilot next month. And then, of course, if you don't necessarily want to do your own user group, you can find different user groups in the tech community and just go to the tech community link that's above, and you can look for upcoming events and user groups in your area and join one there. The mvp.microsoft.com link, that will also enable you to search for MVPs. So there you can find people in your region that focus on different products. So you can search for all of the OES MVPs in a specific region. If you would like to do that, you can find MVPs there, and the vast majority of them have contact information, whether that's LinkedIn or Twitter or their personal emails. You're welcome to reach out and just ask them, get their advice. If you have trouble finding somebody in your region, reach out to me. I'm happy to connect you with somebody. We have lots of great MVPs who are more than willing to connect, and I've done that several times as well, just to kind of lend personal advice as well. So I think that's all the resources that I had. Certainly, if you have questions, we would love to hear them. I feel like I've kind of been keeping tabs on the meeting chat, but are there questions that folks have for us?
I've not seen any appear in the chat, but I was going to say a great presentation and really good look at the MVP program and a guide on how to achieve that MVP status. So that's brilliant sharing that. Thank you very much for doing that. I've seen lots of conversations happening in the chat, but if you do have a question, then please do post it in that chat, and we can relay it back and answer that question. Here we go. We've got a question from someone saying, what if my first submission for MVP fails? Is there a second chance?
Always. Yeah, there's unlimited chances. So a lot of times we'll say this person is great, but they're not quite ready. They're not quite at the bar. And that's where we'll reach out to other MVPs and CPMs to kind of help groom you until you're ready. But yeah, it doesn't, your application doesn't go anywhere. Your contributions still count. You just can keep adding to it until you get there. So yeah, unlimited chances.
Yeah, and Chris has said his first one failed. I think a lot.
No way, really?
A lot of MVPs had just, it happens because we don't know quite yet everything that you're doing. But that helps us keep tabs on what you are doing. So definitely don't give up. It happens quite a bit. Your CPMs are the ones that can give you the feedback on why the submission didn't go through. So follow up with the CPMs, and they can definitely give you that feedback. Absolutely. I would say, it is very important to definitely put continue keeping that up to date, because if we go back and see like, oh, there hasn't been anything in the last 2 months, then we just don't know what we don't know. The other thing is, if you have a blog, it's really helpful for you to put the individual blogs rather than just a link to your blog. So for me, I want to know, like, what are your top teams' blogs? I want to be able to click and see what those blogs are specifically and read through them and see what kind of content you're sharing, rather than try to sort through a whole blog. And then the other thing, then you can associate the views specifically with that blog entry, as opposed to just saying, oh, on average, I have X number of views, and then it's the same number of views for all of your blogs. That means we have to go through and check them. So it's easier if you put individual that are, specific, especially if you're doing some kind of higher level overview feature things that, kind of don't meet that bar. You can leave those out, but really put like the meaty ones in there that, are really good for kind of that net new content.
Yes, same for YouTube. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same for YouTube. All of that. And it can be sessions that you've spoke at. If it was an in-person event, if there's a recording, great. You can put that recording there. And if you don't have a recording, that's fine too. Even just the topics that you talked about.
And I love what Adam just said, like, just keep in there and try again. If you're passionate, you will make it. Like, one thing that we always say is, like, the people who are trying really hard to be an MVP, just to be an MVP, it's not really the way to go, right? If you're really just out there sharing what you love, like, people are going to find you, you're going to get on our radar. Like, that's really how it happens. So just keep your passion and your knowledge, growing, and you'll get there.
Yeah, a lot of times somebody will become an MVP and people are like, I thought you already were an MVP.
Yes. That happens all the time.
So much. They're sharing so much. That happens with me. Sometimes I see a submission come and that I'm supposed to be reviewing and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I have to do a check. I'm like, I swear that person was already an MVP, but alas. Yeah, so keep at it.
Brilliant. Well,
and I think Allie and I both, feel free to connect with us.
Anytime,
ask us questions. If you have us on Teams, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer questions anytime.
Of course.
Fantastic. Thank you both for that. Really, really good information there. And it is good. It is that persistent, isn't it, of making sure you don't give up and keep going with it if you do not get in there first time. I've just posted up a link to the feedback, so please do fill in that feedback. Really, really key for an event like this to make sure we're getting that feedback throughout the sessions we do. I'm just conscious on time, and I know this session was due to finish a few minutes ago, but it's just brilliant to hear it. But what I will say is that we can continue our discussions over in the lounge. This is the last official session of the day, but we have opened up the lounge today for us to continue talking amongst ourselves and so on, with the organisers, the moderators, the speakers and the attendees. A great space for us. I've just popped that again into the meeting chat there, the link through to the lounge. So I will stay here just to make sure everyone that does manage to get through there. But I just want to say thank you very much, everyone, for joining today, to the speakers, to the other moderators that have been involved today, and everyone that's been involved. It's been a really, really good day. It's been a long day, but it's been a really good day. And what a great session to finish up with as well.
Awesome.
And thanks to you, Paul. The moderators have been incredible in this event. I've never seen anything like it. You guys are doing awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. I'm going to pop over to the lounge. So thank you so much, everyone.
Brilliant. Hope to see you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.